Hello everyone, in this video, I'll be translating and summarizing the latest Urdu broadcast by Moeed Pirzada to make it accessible for our English-speaking audience. Let's go through the key developments and insights in Moeed Pirzada's words. Right now, on the world stage, very important developments are happening rapidly. After United States President Donald Trump's summit meeting in Alaska with Russian President Vladimir Putin, when Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was invited to the White House, he did not arrive alone. With him came nearly all of Europe's top leadership. Imagine who arrived with him: Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz, Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer, France's President Emmanuel Macron, Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, and another head of state whose name slips my mind right now. But it wasn't just these leaders. NATO's Secretary-General Mark Rutte was there, and so was European Union President Ursula von der Leyen. What does this show? It shows how concerned and anxious European leadership is about any deal or negotiations between the United States and Russia regarding Ukraine, and how they have thrown their full weight behind President Zelensky, who has declared that his meeting went very well and may the future ones go even better. This is a development that ties in the politics of the whole world. India is drawn in, China is drawn in, and ultimately Pakistan is also drawn in. And as you continue to listen to me in this and subsequent videos, you'll gain a clearer understanding of this. At the same time, within the last 24 hours, we've seen furious diplomatic engagement between China, India and Pakistan. China's foreign minister is currently in Delhi, working on the 2020 border dispute. But it has been announced that as soon as he finishes in Delhi on the 21st, he won't be returning to China. Instead, he will go directly to Islamabad to brief Pakistan's civil and military leadership about his talks with India and to participate in a strategic dialogue between Pakistan and China. Meanwhile, within the same 24 hours, Russian President Vladimir Putin phoned Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, briefing him about what was discussed with Trump at the Alaska summit. India, of course, is a direct stakeholder in all this, as I will explain further. I will also explain in this video why the recent development between Trump and Modi's government shows that India's government is badly stuck in a crisis with the United States, and getting out of it won't be easy. They may manage through compromises, but otherwise Trump's administration has already raised very serious questions about Modi's government and India's position. All these developments are before me, and I'll walk through them one by one. But first, let me repeat my request. If you haven't yet joined this channel, please subscribe, click the bell icon, enable all notifications, and also join the WhatsApp channel I've set up for direct contact. I keep its link pinned in the comments. Last time when I requested this, I noticed many people responded and joined. I'm a bit late today because Google's team had called me for an hour-long discussion. Among other things, they wanted to understand how many people in Pakistan right now are using VPNs to access this channel. Please give me your feedback and suggestions on that. It will be useful. Now let's look at Pakistan's politics and situation. The current developments are tied to an understanding and a debate which I think is very important. As you know, we've already done 2 vlogs on this. Many podcasters have also discussed how Sohail Waraich, together with Mohsin Naqvi, tried to deliver a message from General Asim Munir to Imran Khan, to the people of Pakistan, to social media, to the public, that if Imran Khan does not apologize, his fate will be like Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's. Imran Khan's strategies, they say, have failed. He thought courts would help, that the Supreme Court would give him relief, that public protest would matter, that social media power would matter, that international human rights groups or America would intervene. But none of these brought him relief. Therefore, he should realize the real institutions are far too powerful, and he should surrender, apologize, remain silent until the next election, and focus only on electoral transparency. Journalist Matiullah Jan has alleged that Sohail Waraich actually tried to change the debate inside Pakistan. The debate was, when will Imran Khan be released? He shifted it to, why should Imran Khan apologize and when? Matiullah Jan argues this shift won't last long and the narrative will eventually return to its original form. Now here's something interesting. While Waraich, Naqvi and General Munir may have wanted to change the debate, unintended consequences have arisen. On social media and in political circles, new questions are emerging, some openly, some still forming. For example, Waraich often avoids directly naming General Asim Munir, instead saying the establishment, the institutions, the military and so on, but ultimately ties him to these. In his columns he shows deep respect for Asim Munir, just as he has always respected powerful figures throughout his career. By contrast, he portrays Imran Khan as a misguided leader, misled by his supporters with his life at risk, while Asim Munir and the establishment are the real powerful institutions. Now, a moment of truth is fast approaching for Pakistan's people and media, and it relates to November 2025, specifically November 26 to 27. As I explained in an earlier vlog, General Asim Munir's notification for a 3-year term was issued around November 25 to 26, 2022. Those 3 years end in 2025. Meanwhile, he had Parliament pass an amendment to the Army Act extending tenure to 5 years. But legally, unless Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif and Asif Ali Zardari issue a new notification, General Munir cannot continue, because the amendment does not automatically apply unless a new notification is issued. Some of you have written to me saying, "Who cares about notifications in this country? They don't matter." And, practically speaking, you are right. The establishment doesn't need law or constitution. But pause and think. Gather your courage, fasten your belts and reflect. They always say establishment, institutions, the institution, the military. But what if on 26 to 27 November 2025, General Asim Munir, as he is supposed to, retires? Suppose he retires, goes home, receives a guard of honour, is given farewell tributes where it is said, "The general rendered great services to the nation. He defeated India in war, he established strong relations between China and the United States, he built deep ties with the Middle East, he set up the SIFC for minerals, he made progress in the mineral sector, he resolved the Reko-Dik issues, and he achieved something no serving army chief in 200 years of history ever did. He sat down with the emperor of the time, the Caesar of Rome, and had a 2-hour lunch with Donald Trump." So, after all this, the general departs home with great honour. Who retires then? General Asim Munir, as an individual, a single man, a human being, retires. But does the institution retire? Do the institutions retire? Does the establishment retire? Does his retirement make any difference to Pakistan's institutions or establishment? Absolutely not. Pakistan's institutions, Pakistan's establishment will stand exactly where they are. The only difference would be that, in the broader national and state interest, a positive change will occur, new pathways will open for politics. Because right now, General Asim Munir is the most controversial figure, the reason politics is stuck at an impasse. It is not because of Imran Khan. What's the difference? Asim Munir is just one man who happens to control the Pakistan army. The 700,000 officers and soldiers of the army did not elect him. He was promoted and placed there by Nawaz Sharif for political reasons. Yes, he became powerful due to certain legal mechanisms, but there is no mass following behind him. People say the army is behind him, but really, it's just a constitutional legal mechanism that has been abused along with a rubber-stamp parliament that was bent to his will. Through that, he pushed through the amendment to the Pakistan Army Act for his extension. Now compare that with Imran Khan. He is constantly referred to as just one man, a politician. But Imran Khan is the voice of millions of Pakistanis. For millions, he represents their interests, their thinking, their emotions, their aspirations. He is not just one individual, he embodies the voice of the people. Whereas Asim Munir was not voted in by captains, majors, colonels, brigadiers, or major generals of the army, if Asim Munir retires honourably and leaves, the very next day no one in the army will care, neither at the time of his departure nor after. The army will remain standing. The institutions, the establishment, will remain standing. This is what I want you to understand, because every day you hear, the establishment did this, the institutions did that, but in reality, there is no such thing as the establishment acting as a collective. It is just the control of a single individual through a bureaucratic mechanism, and that needs to be understood. Now let me make a second point in this same regard before moving forward. In my previous vlog, I mentioned something, though I don't know how many of you fully grasped it. Whenever this talk of apology comes up, I notice many podcasters make thumbnails tying it to the idea of national reconciliation or grand apologies. But General Asim Munir is not interested in any such broad reconciliation. What he wants is simply this: Imran Khan should concede, accept, and realize that all his strategies have failed, and that Asim Munir and his team are stronger. Imran Khan should accept the system they have built and agree to operate under their terms and conditions until the next elections. Then, supposedly, things will be fine, but they will not be fine. This is a deception. Many of you listened to Dr. Shahbaz Gill, who has repeatedly narrated the incident of 2022 when Nawaz Sharif was appointing Asim Munir as army chief. At that time, a colonel met Shahbaz Gill, then serving as Imran Khan's chief of staff, and conveyed that Imran Khan should not oppose Asim Munir's elevation. They were told, "General Asim Munir will remain neutral, he will provide justice to all." That was a deception. Imran Khan, through President Arif Alvi, ultimately accepted the appointment in goodwill. But that was a wrong move. PTI should have openly and legally, even through the Supreme Court, declared that the appointment of a retired officer as army chief was illegitimate and unacceptable. Instead, they became scared, were deceived and welcomed him. What happened afterwards? Did PTI or Imran Khan gain anything from showing goodwill in November 2022? Absolutely not. Looking back, they gained nothing. Similarly, at this stage, what we are seeing is another deception, this time through Sohail Warich being used by Asim Munir and Mohsin Naqvi to create a new narrative. But things will not work out as they want. That's what I want you to understand. I'll also read your comments and debates on this. Now, moving forward. In the past 24 hours, Pakistan's current Foreign Minister, Senator Ishaq Dar, while speaking in the United Kingdom with Pakistani-origin journalists and diplomats, said, "We are not bringing the 27th constitutional amendment at this stage. We don't need it. We are still absorbing and fixing matters related to the 26th amendment." Now, is he speaking the truth that they really don't need it? Or is this another deception meant to mislead the judiciary, the public or others? Because, well, we know a lot of work has already gone into the 27th Amendment, and the reason for it is clear. They want to fine-tune what remains of judicial independence. One major element is the introduction of national-level rotation for High Court judges across the country, meaning judges like Babar Sattar and others could be transferred to Peshawar, Sindh or Balochistan High Courts. Imagine if judges from Islamabad were sent to Quetta or Balochistan. They would be forced to rely on army officers or sector commanders for their personal security, given the situation there. How then could they run courts independently? Now look at the all-parties conference held on Sunday, led by the ANP. The resolution that came out of it, which I mentioned last week, had some new details. PPP and PMLN both refused to sign it. ANP presented the declaration. ANP signed it, GUIF signed, MQM signed, PMLQ signed, and a few others. But PPP and PMLN refused. Why? Because while the resolution seemed harmless on the surface, calling for peace, prosperity, democracy, constitutional supremacy and provincial autonomy, its later points were dangerous. It called for the abolition of all unconstitutional bodies like the SIFC, for provinces to have full mineral rights under the 18th Amendment, for death squads, killing people, to be disbanded, and for all missing persons from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan to be released. Now the question is ANP just grandstanding to win popularity and fool people? Or are they genuinely responding to public sentiment rising from KP and parts of Balochistan? Either way, you can understand why PPP and PMLN refused to sign such a resolution. Now let us turn to India, China, Trump and Russia. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has just arrived in Delhi on a 3-day visit on the 18th, 19th and 20th, and then on the 21st he has to reach Islamabad. That's why this is significant. On Monday, which has now passed, Wang Yi met with India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar, and an official readout was released regarding their discussion on the border dispute. In it, they said that China and India cannot make progress on other matters without resolving their border dispute. They emphasized that demilitarization or demobilization must be achieved there. The context is that for 4 years no progress could be made. Although Narendra Modi and Xi Jinping kept meeting at various international summits, whether BRICS or SCO, they would occasionally interact. But in October 2024, in the Russian city of Kazan, Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping held a formal bilateral meeting and summit, after which it was decided that the border dispute would be resolved. Since then, trade and many other things have improved. The optics have also improved. But Indian sources say that at the Himalayan border, troops are still deployed with the same concentration eye to eye as they were in April 2020. Now India wants genuine demilitarization there while the Chinese are stalling. Immediately after this, note that China's foreign minister is arriving in Pakistan on August 21st, where he will apparently participate in a Pakistan-China strategic dialogue. But this also means he will brief Pakistan about what discussions took place with India regarding the border dispute. This is significant because in diplomatic traditions, strong allies are briefed after such talks. For instance, Russian President Vladimir Putin considers India a very important strategic ally. Just today, he called Prime Minister Narendra Modi and briefed him about the Alaska summit, which Modi welcomed. Modi even tweeted about it and expressed his thanks. Similarly, China considers Pakistan important enough that its foreign minister is coming to brief Pakistan. That way, if Pakistan has any concerns, fears or reservations, they can be addressed. This also indicates that General Bajwa's doctrine, that Pakistan should distance itself from China, is completely dead. General Asim Munir's team has buried it. Asim himself claimed in Brussels, as also mentioned in Sohail's columns, that Pakistan has vast experience balancing between the United States and China, and it will not sacrifice or embarrass one ally for the sake of another. Now, this raises an important question. Between 2019 and 2021, there was back-channel diplomacy between Pakistan and the United States, involving 2 retired generals and 2 retired diplomats from the US side, and 2 retired foreign secretaries and 2 retired generals from the Pakistani side. More than one participant told me off the record that in all those meetings the Americans said, "Nothing doing. We don't accept anything unless Pakistan rolls back its strategic relationship with China." The way this relationship exists is not acceptable to us. So the question now is, when General Asim Munir says Pakistan has learned to balance, has Donald Trump withdrawn his demand? Has he accepted this new arrangement in which Pakistan maintains a very close relationship with China? Has that equation changed? That's the big question to keep in mind as we move forward, because India also thought it had adopted a balanced relationship between Russia, the United States and China. For a long time, they managed it. On China, they were under pressure. On Russia, apparently not much. But this situation has changed rapidly. Today in the United States, Peter Navarro, a prominent economist and part of Donald Trump's team, counselor to the White House for Trade and Manufacturing, published an article in the Financial Times titled "India's Oil Lobby Funding Putin's War Machine." That has to stop. This is honestly a very strong piece of analysis. Let me share the key points. He says India has been constantly playing a double game with the United States, and the Biden administration either didn't grasp it or chose to ignore it. Why double game? Because Jaishankar and India's Ministry of External Affairs claim that buying Russian oil is in India's sovereign interest, to serve its economy and 1.4 billion consumers. We've all heard this justification before, and even as Pakistanis, we have often admired and appreciated it. But Navarro argues the truth is entirely different. This is total nonsense. He says that in 2022, Russian oil was only 1% of India's imports. Now it has risen to 30 to 40%. But India doesn't even consume half of it domestically. Out of the 1.5 to 2 million barrels per day India imports, half or more is refined and resold internationally by politically connected companies like Reliance, Mukesh Ambani's company, that are linked to the ruling BJP. Over 50% of Russian crude is refined into oil products and sold to Europe, Asia and Africa. This is a profiteering racket with 2 implications. It funds Putin's war machine massively. It enables India's companies to earn big profits, which are then used to buy Russian weapons. India still imports at least 36% of its weapons from Russia. Yes, India has also bought weapons from the United States, France and Israel, but with stringent conditions, including technology transfer and domestic manufacturing. That complicates open arms trade. And how can the United States transfer sensitive technology to an unreliable partner like India, which still has close strategic ties with Russia? A fact made crystal clear over the past 3 years. And India's stance on China remains ambiguous, so Navarro's Financial Times article exposes and challenges India's entire justification for Russian oil imports. For Modi's government, this creates a major crisis in the United States. A crisis they cannot escape by smiles and traditional diplomacy. They will need to make real adjustments and accept Trump administration's demands. I earlier thought Modi might maneuver out of this, but it now seems difficult. His best hope lies in the Zelensky meetings. Now it is being suggested that a trilateral summit between Zelensky, Trump and Putin could happen soon. Trump has announced after today's meeting that he will soon call Putin to brief him. But the obstacle is that Russia is demanding not only Donbas but also eastern Ukrainian territories it hasn't even conquered yet. Europeans are deeply worried. They have a strong stance that if such Russian demands are accepted, there will be no peace in Europe, and Russia will be greatly emboldened. India's Prime Minister's best hope is that sanctions on Russia end quickly. That way, the spotlight and microscope currently on India's dealings with Russia and its ambiguous position toward China may fade, giving India space to maneuver. But it seems unlikely this will happen soon. That wraps up our translation of Moeed Pirzada's video. I hope this English version helped you understand his message better. Please like, share and subscribe to Awami Lens to help our community grow. Don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of this effort.